that we'd like, yep. Okay.
I know.
Okay, thanks, gotta go to meeting, bye. So some tomorrow morning, Scott, so we can all try to-
My other beagle just lays in his bed.
Get a company plan. And go out and
He's too big to get out of it.
restore and go through for every person in the company.
Nice. I love this.
You what?
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't-
The blue trout rose on there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Blue trout was my belly.
Hey, it's 6:00. Let's get this village council meeting underway.
Is it soft on this?
Angie, can we have a roll call, please?
Certainly. And if we have anyone, if there's anyone attending remotely for a reason other than military duty, they need to disclose their location, please. Wales?
Here.
Bishop?
Here.
Dunham?
Here.
Ellis?
Here.
Larson?
Here.
Miller?
Here, remotely, from home.
Thank you. Nita?
Here.
All right, let's say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, seeking approval of our amended agenda. Everybody should have a copy of the amended agenda that's stated on the top. April 12th, 2021 is the amendment. I will make that motion.
I make a motion to accept the amended agenda.
Motion by Needham, support by Larson. All those in favor? Say yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda, board members can request certain items to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion. A motion is then in order to adopt all items not removed. After that motion is passed, discussion will occur on those items previously selected for removal. Motion to accept?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Dunham, second by Ellis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? At this time, we have room for brief public comment. Please state your name, place of residence, and disclose any financial relationship with the village. Direct all comments towards myself, and limit comments to 3 minutes or less if you can. Any public comment this evening? Anybody online?
Hi there.
Hi, Robin.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm Robin Schneider. I'm the executive director from the Michigan Cannabis Industry Association. Address is 101 South Washington Square, Lansing, Michigan, 48933. I just wanted to, join the meeting briefly today. I had heard that there was a agenda item to increase fees to cannabis licensees in the community, and I know, we obviously love Kalkaska. You've been wonderful to work with there. But I just wanted to chime in before, we got too far ahead of ourselves and just state that, in accordance with MRTMA, the law that governs that program, the maximum fee that a municipality can charge for licensing is $5,000 per year per licensee. And the municipalities are not allowed to levy any additional taxes other than what they get from their state allocation that's in the law. So I just wanted to suggest that if there, is a desire to raise, more money, or if you have specific projects that you're seeking funding for, that we would certainly be willing to, work with our members in the area on some fundraising initiatives to help out with that. But I just, wanted to be here as a resource before you move ahead with something that, you know, isn't legally allowed.
Hi, Rob, it's Scott Yields. Good to see you again.
Good to see you
It's
too.
been, what, about a year and a few months, so it is good to
We
see you.
can't wait to come back.
Absolutely. We're anxious to have you come back when we can have another summit meeting in person. Actually, that information you got was incorrect.
Okay.
We don't have anything on our agenda about that tonight, and actually,
Okay.
at a previous meeting, we reduced fees.
Okay.
And it was supported 6-1 to reduce fees. So I think that you've got maybe some poor intel about what we're doing here in Kalkaska tonight.
Well, I apologize for that.
Yeah, no problem.
I got a call that it was on the agenda to increase
No.
fees, and I said, well, if there's a project you guys need help fundraising for, let us know.
Well, now that you bring that up,
Yeah,
And we know you're good at that.
so let's talk about that.
yeah, there you go, there you go. I mean, you guys, like I said, you guys have been great to work with, and, you know, we're doing some fundraising right now with the city of Detroit. We've entered into a partnership with them for that, but yeah, we're always, you know, we're always here to help, you know, in any way we can, and, you know, I appreciate, I appreciate you guys and how friendly you've been.
Sure. And we've already seen that. You've already demonstrated that quite well, Rob. And so,
And Robin, we do have the fee schedule on the agenda, so it wasn't all bad information. But the only thing that we're adjusting on that is so that we can charge a percentage fee on credit card transactions to cover the cost of the transactions. That's the only thing on it that's changing.
and that's an issue by state law to allow us to accept credit cards. So there isn't a direct cannabis related action tonight. So, and as I said, we actually reduced fees recently. So.
I apologize if I wasted
No,
your time.
no,
but
that's
I'm
okay.
sure
No, it's nice to
No,
see you.
it was good to see you, and we got a lead on. So are you going to email me tomorrow so that we can talk about projects that you can help support?
All right.
Okay, send me an email,
You guys
please.
know how to get a hold of us.
Very good. Thank you,
Thank
Robin.
you.
We have a beautiful community there.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We appreciate our cannabis industry.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank you.
Any other comments tonight? At this time? Okay, let's go on. There are no presentations. Moving on to finance.
I'm going to have Tim take that part.
Okay, gladly. So we met tonight at 5 o'clock, Mr. Bishop, Ms. Miller, myself, and we are making a recommendation to council that we pay $101,885.09 is our total bills due. Our invoices total $270,613.42.
Say the first amount again, wait, please.
Sure, $101,885.09.
That's a motion. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
Couple of seconds. I have a Larson and I have a Miller. And then we'll need a roll call, please, Ange, when you're ready.
Certainly. Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Carries.
Was there anything else from finance other than that?
Guys, sorry, I'm not doing my job here. That's the only thing we needed. Yep, we're
Nothing
good.
special. Nothing special today. All right. Well, we'll move on then. Business Development Committee.
Yes,
Highlights?
we met twice. The first time on March 9th at 6 PM, and that was remotely. We first reviewed the Railroad Square rental agreement and food truck space lease agreement with a recommendation to approve those. I think that's going to come up later in the agenda. We spent some time discussing the direction of the committee since it's newly reformed. Then we met again last week on April 7th, and we continued discussing the direction and plan. We had some great input by the other committee members and the DDA and the manager. So we're working on developing that. And there's no recommendation from that meeting.
All right, any questions? For the
Oh, and then after we adjourned, myself and Trustee Needham and the DDA directors stayed and talked about the history of developing the master plan.
Anything you gleaned from that you want to share, or was that just more information?
It was just a lot of little tidbits.
Any questions for Ms. Dunn?
No.
5-year Village of Kalkaska Master Plan Committee report.
That's me again. So we met on March 17th remotely, and we continued the discussion of the cash summary report and began looking over the capital improvement plan together. And we didn't have a recommendation from that.
All right, police report. Ms. Fieldman.
So, you guys got all the stats, pretty standard month to month. I feel like I'm really echoing. One thing I really want to highlight for this month is Officer Argyle had a traffic stop on a vehicle without a license plate. Ended up finding a couple of handguns in the vehicle. Found a loaded magazine on the seat next to the driver. He had an address typed into his GPS. We were not able to make contact with a person because it was a campground. But we have since found out that he had a former friend who lived at said campground and that they have recently had a falling out. So I'm not going to read too much into it because we can't prove more than that, but that is the facts that we do know. So it was just good police work stopping a car for a license plate or not having one. So stuff we think is minor, and people don't realize that we make traffic stops for a reason. It's not just to harass people. It's because we find things like that. So it was just straight up good police work that possibly could have saved somebody's life. Yeah.
I have a question about that, no license plate. I have recently noticed a high number of vehicles in town without license plate. Somebody was telling me the Secretary of State is now allowing people to drive around with the license plates because they can't get them renewed.
There was an extension signed by the governor. That extension has expired.
All right, because there's quite a few I've seen throughout town.
They are everywhere.
Any more questions for Lieutenant?
Thank you.
Manager, what do you have for us?
Good evening, President, Council, and public. Opening item, from my perspective as manager, I can see that there's significant business development that's well underway here in Kalkaska. And I would make a suggestion that we need to start, and it's already happening in a very robust way. And I'd make the suggestion that we need to focus on housing as much or more so than business development. We're already succeeding at business development. We need housing for the hundreds of people that work here and want to live here. For example, one employer in the cannabis industry has over 80 employees at the last count. And there are others that are going to be that large or larger. So I would suggest that we direct some committee to work with Networks Northwest and Sarah Lucas, who is noted as an area expert on housing, and Habitat for Humanity or others, and perhaps seek grants to demolish blighted properties and then turn those properties into buildable lots. Because I've had conversations with area builders, and because of the business environment that we've created here over the last 3 years, we have enough people moving here now to work here, and they want to move here, that builders are telling me they might start to consider things like spec houses, which I don't think we've seen since, what, Mr. Seating, 1970s?
Ish.
There we are. So that would be a suggestion that I have from my perspective as manager overseeing the business development that we have here in Kalkaska, and it is very robust. Public Works Committee requested sewer infrastructure data, and I will be providing that shortly. After the terrorist attacks of 9/11 in 2001, laws were changed regarding the protection of infrastructure records, and that requires me to review and carefully vet what's released. And a reminder to anyone who receives this, you are not to disclose the information that you're provided. Update Update on the village to city transition process. Petition circulation is done. Adequate number of signatures were obtained. And I specifically thank council members Diana Needham, Bobby Bishop, and President Wales for your dedication to the community by donating your time assisting in petition circulation Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And Michelle Miller was there as well. And as I stated in an email earlier, you have my respect for being a community leader and one of the persons who's courageous enough to take us into the future and out of the past. We're now leading the important step of formation of a fire authority. We've been working on this for some time. A fire authority between the village and the township. In my view, is we need a contract between the village and the township for fire service, and it appears that none currently exists. The village is taking the lead on that and will bear the expense of that. Last meeting, I shared some of the steps we take behind the scenes to keep our infrastructure running during a power outage, and that went smoothly into play last Friday. There was a fire on a utility pole on a 46,000 volt line that feeds this area, and it caused a power outage from here to Elmira. But we continued on without any major problems. Received a letter from a new business with some business startup feedback for us here at the village, and also an offer. And I want to read that letter to you, please. It says, and this was actually a letter that the clerk received, and then she also was copied to the assistant manager and me. And she said, she just got off the phone with this individual, and he wanted to thank the village and all of its agents for their efficiency, professionalism, and helpfulness as they've been getting underway with their business. And thanks to everyone. And here's the interesting part also. He also stated that somewhere down the line, once they're up and running, they would like to start a college trust fund for police officers' children, as they greatly support the local police. It's on the back burner right now, but he will contact us when the time arrives. They're opening a business right now. They moved here from Alaska to open a business. So twofold, good feedback on our business welcoming process and the process that we take businesses through to approve site plans and so on. And then also a wonderful offer as well for the children of our police officers down the road. MMLLPP lawsuit scheduled, mediation is scheduled for this Thursday, and assisting the president will be the assistant manager and me, also council member Tim Ellis. And we all say, wish us well.
Absolutely.
Mr. Ellis and I are the members who are seasoned from previous mediations, but I think this is different enough that we'll be learning on the fly also.
Exactly.
So appreciate your willingness to attend that, Mr. Ellis.
Absolutely. I'm sure you'll miss that, Mr. Seating.
And Mr. White.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. White.
Oh, it's quite all right.
And at the 2-year point, running up to my retirement, I started a clock on what I called then the 24-month transition plan. Well, we're down to 21 months now. Time flies. And I've been assigning projects to the assistant manager. He's the tall fella in the corner over there. He's been responding very well to them. It's a great opportunity to teach and train. And for example, I designated the assistant manager, Popa, as the assistant street administrator recently. And that's one of the 5 jobs that he will hold and be responsible for as manager in the future. And with that added role, I assigned him the task of reviewing and submitting our Act 51 MDOT street mileage map. This is very important to us. It's the basis that's used for the state to pay us revenue sharing based on our street designations and mileages. And actually, there's an action that we'll take later on directly in regard to that. It's a good exercise in preparation for a smooth transition of power when I retire. And Assistant Manager Popa is doing a fantastic job. We're arranging for street sweeping again this year, and you've also probably seen the MDOT working on 131, their portion of the street sweeping on 131, and drag races. They're back. If you're old enough to remember the old drag race ads on WLS from Chicago, no takers, huh?
No, we're not that old.
No, I know Mr. Seating's that old. Drag races are back, and Mr. Sheriff will be talking to us about that. That's all I have, sir. Any questions?
Question for you. Thank you for that very thorough report, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Moving on to my report, I just want to touch back on the village to city transition. After a nice long conversation with former President Seating and all those that came up to the pavilion to attend, there were a lot of questions people had, and I don't think that we properly addressed those ahead of time. I think we could have done a much better job of, getting some media information out there to the general public prior to the signature drive. We did come up with enough signatures, but what we noticed was we had to talk at each door for about 20 minutes to answer everybody's questions. So clearly, we didn't do a very good job of communicating with them prior to it, or we wouldn't have had to talk that long. We did have a lot of people that had some very good questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those questions and those what ifs and compile those into a Q&A submission that we can then disperse out so people can use it as a reference, and also provide some other municipalities that have gone through the transition in more recent years in Michigan, so that individuals can also do their own research on their own and see what the results of those transitions were. So just know that we're working on that now, and we'll get that out to everybody as soon as possible. We have no unfinished business. Let's move on to new business this evening. Consider adoption of resolution 2021-017, acceptance of credit cards.
President Wales, I think Angie disappeared.
Poof, you're right. She might have lost your internet.
She's in a panic right now.
I know it's here.
I hear her too. Where's the Xanax?
My power just went out.
Oh,
Just got a message from her.
Really?
All around to the magic of cellular phones. Y'all should have one of those.
Hi.
Hi, you are live with the entire meeting.
Go ahead, take a deep breath first.
Everything's good. We're just gonna keep moving. What was the last thing you heard, Angie?
Harley said that they could have had better
Communication.
answered questions ahead of time.
So we're going to come up with a media package with a Q&A for the citizens to help answer some of the questions that were brought up at the pavilion. And that was pretty much it. And then we moved on to new business A. And I said, consider adoption of resolution 2021-017, acceptance of credit cards, and that brings you up to speed.
Okay, and I am trying to reconnect now because now I have no internet access.
Well, I think we can proceed over the phone here, Angie. We should be okay.
Okay.
It's all good, as they say.
Yeah. For some unknown reason where there's absolutely no reason why his power clips out. Okay. Do we have a motion and second for the resolution of 2021-17 yet?
I would make that motion.
Diana made the motion. Larson seconds.
I'm sorry, Needham made the motion?
Correct? And Larson
Okay.
second.
Got it. Okay, now we'll take a roll call vote. Dunham?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Needham?
Yes.
Bishop?
Yes.
Wales?
Yes.
Carries, thank you.
All right, moving on, consider adoption of resolution 2021-018 fee schedule amendment. And this, as we previously talked about, would be the addition of percentage charges if you use a credit card fee in the lobby or online, different charges. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Diana, motion. Larson, support. Any discussion on this, anyone?
Hope they do it every place else.
We'll take that roll call.
Okay. Alice?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Consider adoption of resolution 2021-019, decertifying a portion of Maple Street. We have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Miller,
I'll support.
support by Bobby. Any discussion?
I was just wondering if you could briefly tell me what this means.
Assistant Street Administrator.
You walked it out?
The certification. So there's a portion of Maple Street from the edge of the DPW garage that used to go along the railroad track and cross First Street. Clearly, there's no road there, so we're just updating things so that they're current there.
All right,
Got
thank
it. I was gonna ask the same question, thank you.
We actually went out and walked it just to make sure there's no road there that we didn't know about, and it's not there.
There really isn't one. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Certainly. Larson,
Larson?
Yes.
thank you. Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Consider adoption of ordinance 2021-002, amending section 111.03 of the Village Code of Ordinances. Everybody has a copy of that? We got a motion on the floor?
I will make that motion.
Simultaneous motions from Larson and Needham.
Well, then I'll support it.
Then the Bob will support.
Got it, thank you.
That was like perfect square, I guess. Any discussions on this? I think it's pretty straightforward. No discussion?
No discussion.
Hang on a second, I might have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it's worded so that we have permission to get our permits and stuff from the state and from permission from the village, we can do like alcohol at the salt festival.
That's the whole purpose of it.
Okay. But just worded different, I'd reread
Yeah,
it.
you have to have an event license and you have to carry insurance,
Yeah, yeah,
which will be triggered by the event license.
Yep.
So we will be covered doubly.
Well, when I first time I read it, it didn't sound like that, second time I read it, it was clear.
Any other discussion? Ever roll call on this too, Ange?
Certainly. Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Consider approval of Railroad Square fee schedule.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
Yeah, have we, just out of curiosity, did we check out the monthly fees to like food trucks and other places of comparable size?
They did a tremendous amount of research.
It just seems like such a high fee.
Fees for the food trucks, fees for spaces like that, what the cleaning would be, the cleaning estimates, and then broke it down. And actually kind of surprised that there's nobody here from the DDA.
So is this the fees for the food trucks too?
No, that-
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
it's on the
this-
second page.
As is, or is this just for the pavilion?
The first page is the pavilion,
Oh,
the
this is
second
the
page is
food truck.
the food truck.
The
Oh,
back.
all right. Let me see here. Cause, I also have some information, cause I get to hear from the we get lots of calls from the food truck people, and, I know this is taking a while for this to go through. Some are not too happy, that it's taking this long, to find out what they're gonna be charged for their, monthly rental. And they just thought this should have been going on probably months ago before, actually quite a while ago. So it's an ongoing thing with them calling me or getting hold of me and find out what's going on. Each of them, I was actually standing next to, one of our food truck owners when he called Cash Cook. Cash Cook could not answer what he wanted, the question he asked, and, instead of letting that food truck owner know, or say, I'll find out your answer for that and I'll get back to you. So it's been a battle, and I thought too much. I think $600 a month is kind of steep. They told me that Traverse City's got one that's $500 a month, and there's bars in that area of the court. So that's at $500 a month for theirs. And I just think 600 is a little steep for them, if that's, because I've been listening to them, they couldn't understand what's going from 100 to 600. So I guess listening to them, I thought I'd just bring this here to the council, and kind of surprised they haven't shown up here, because I thought they should be more of a amount for themselves.
You're referring to,
So
Who should
our
be about for
NB barbecue is one, and Billy Bob's Boneyard, and they're not very happy with what they're gonna be charged for this. And it's not so much just that, it's them constantly calling the Gainell and Cash Cook and not really getting a response from them or a follow-up. So that's been a problem. I just keep telling, keep at it, but again, even up to today, even, I've got a call early this morning, and again, I thought that person was gonna be here, because I wish Billy Bob Boneyard would have been here, because she contacted me this morning and had some complaints.
I think with that, if I can just interject, is there's two people making the same call. I also spoke to Mr. Berger, who called me, and I connected him to Gainell, and it was settled right there. I was on the conference call with them, so it was done. And I'm surprised to hear that now they just called you this morning and that was the same problem. So I'm just stating that we should, as council members, I'm getting a lot of these calls too, refer them to the DDA, and then maybe you do a follow-up as you did with them. But I don't, as far as the actual conversation, again, I was lucky to get them on the phone together.
Yeah, I was actually standing right next to the owner of R&B barbecue, and pretty much started the conversation. So, and once he hung up, he was kind of very frustrated, very disappointed, and so I was hoping he would have been here too to voice his opinions and concerns of this food truck committee too that they have out there, because I'm not sure if there's a food truck committee, but from what I heard, there's one. I've been told there's not one. There is one. I have no idea. But
Do we know if there's a committee?
There was a committee for it back when Bob Bergen was on the DDA.
Okay.
And they did meet, and then they pandemicked, and then they stopped meeting, and nothing ever came back around from that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised because I asked them if they were on the committee or were asked. I was told no. I asked Lisa Dallas, who was the owner of Billy Bob's Boneyard, same question, and she said no. And so I told them that's you have to stay on the DEA. You just have to keep calling them and, find out what the answer is. I can tell you, it's been almost a little over 2 months of listening to them complaining, so I thought I should bring it up now and so the council knows this has been an ongoing problem.
Points I'd have to agree with are this is very late to the table. This was actually on my list of concerns for all of Railroad Square that I drew up for the directors last summer. I think it was when I submitted that list. And then this really should have been kicked off and addressed at that point, so everybody would know. So they could make other plans if this was out of their price range. But I don't feel it is out of the price range in that what they had before was absolutely nothing. And now they have their water, sewer, electric hookup right there. There's a covered pavilion. It's going to have Wi-Fi. The bathrooms will be there. I think it's a totally different level that they're at now. And I think that it probably is worth the price of where it's at. Maybe there's a spot in Trevor's that you can go for $500, but most of them are between $1,100 and $1,500. So, and they don't even offer all the things that we're offering here. So I personally don't feel, I sit on the DDA as well, and I don't feel that it is out of the price range. And I know there were very specific reasons also why they did it, and that there are also certain requirements in the rental agreement that we'll get to later, like requiring a set menu. Doesn't mean they can't hit specials, but a set menu. So when somebody says, hey, what do your food trucks have? You can say, our food trucks have X, Y, and Z, and not have to go look them up and see what was on sale last week that they have on special this week. Just for more consistency and a more professional atmosphere, even though it's food truck, it would be nice to have that atmosphere down there, so.
Are the prices based on daily use or what? On the stuff you just talked about?
There's a set, like, if you rent between 1 and 3 days, it's this price. Daily, you can rent, it's gonna change based on your usage.
Now, do we have a list of who's gonna be, in the, food truck court, this truck festival?
I do not. Any idea?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Do you know who's gonna be there for Trail Fest?
I have.
We just referred, we've all referred everybody to get out, so
Yeah.
I refer all the food trucks to DDA, nothing to do with me.
that would be a DDA question.
I have a clarifying question.
I take that back, I got a quick question for you. We have, Gibson's elephant ears that come every year during the parade. He'd be the only one I'd have, but he'll set up on the front by the parade side like he normally does. Okay, so that's the only one I know about.
Under the food truck expenses or fees, there's a dumpster cost that's weekly for 165. Is that per food truck or is that split amongst
No,
the
it's a
food
split
trucks?
weekly with them.
Well, it says it's split weekly cost with village, so I imagine we're paying part of the dumpster
That's our
cost.
dumpster, right? Yes.
If there'd be
I
5 food
honestly
trucks
don't know
out there,
that
it'd be
answer.
5 trucks in the village.
Or,
Yeah, I honestly don't know that answer.
Because the way, if I was a food truck vendor looking at this, I would be concerned if I'm, okay, like my monthly fee is only $600, but am I on the hook for $165 a week in dumpster fees? Because that'd be another
I can't,
$600.
I can't imagine that it's per each because based on the fees I got, because what we did is we got a double-sized dumpster here. So we don't have 2 different dumpsters. That price wouldn't make sense
Right,
with what I know the dumpster costs. It's gotta be split.
right, because that would be more than your monthly fee already, so.
Correct.
Okay. And then I had another question. There's the base fee. It says that all categories include base fees. Does that mean that the numbers that we see here for like the kitchen and the dining space for these different groups, that it's that number plus the $50 cleaning fee?
So the $50 cleaning fee is for each portion, so if you rent a pavilion, it's $50. If you rent the kitchen, it's another $50. And those would be the base fees that are not refunded.
Okay, so if I, for example, wanted to, rent the whole kitchen, the whole building and the outdoor green space for the day, I'd pay $200, $75, and then $50 and $50.
So your whole green space and building day rate for a resident would be the $425. Is that what I'm looking at? Plus the $100 cleaning fee.
That's how I would look at it.
I was just wondering, like, if you're getting the green space and the building,
The bottom category, green space and building.
right, would you then pay $50 for the green space, $50 for the building, $50 for the kitchen?
Yes, because it is the whole building.
So it'd be plus the $150 cleaning fees.
There's no cleaning fee charged for the green space. Just the building and the kitchen,
Okay, so it'd be plus $100.
plus $100 and then $100 deposit, which is the refundable portion.
Right. Okay, I was just a bit confused on that.
Any more questions on this? Fee schedule?
Now, what type of, let's say, for food trucks, I know this is a little off this one, but the food truck wants to be at the fairgrounds parking lot. What type of permit, would they have to come to the village to get a permit? At
Well, it
the
depends on
Coliseum
which part
parking
they
lot,
run, right? Isn't it?
If they're in the Coliseum parking lot, they need a permit.
okay,
The village limit is 33 feet west of the cart trail, where the cart trail runs north and south at the Coliseum.
right where it's the newly sewer.
Basically, just this side of the electronic sign.
Okay, I'll pass that information on.
Any other discussion?
Are you talking about during Trail Festival?
Yes,
It'd be nice if they didn't do it during Trail
I
Festival.
know, I feel sad.
We have enough places selling food as it is. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not a president.
No more questions? Can we roll call this, Andrew?
Yes. Needham,
Needham?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, she's thinking.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Needham.
She's thinking.
Okay.
You can't hear that.
Okay.
I'm surprised. Yes,
Thank you. Bishop,
No.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
No,
Larson,
No.
Miller,
the loser?
Mickey, we can't hear you.
I said no.
Miller,
Sorry.
no. Wales,
I'm gonna say yes.
motion fails.
All right.
now I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know I paid for Trail Festival?
That's exactly it. We don't. We probably won't have any quick cuts. Move on to H, authorize village attorney Brian Graham to represent township in fire authority negotiations.
So I'm sorry, are we skipping G? Because the fee schedule was voted down.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Authorize village attorney Brian Graham to represent township in fire authority negotiations.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Miller,
I second.
second by Ellis. Any discussion? Everybody knows he represents both of us, so we're rescinding and retaining our own counsel. We get a roll call, please?
Certainly. Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Larson,
Yeah.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
Wales.
Yes.
Carries.
Authorize sale of 2006 Village Dodge Caravan.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ellis, second by Miller. Any discussion? We all know we had the ad out. What was the winning bid?
$3,650.
Oh, wow. $3,650 was the winning bid. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Certainly. Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Larson.
Yeah.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
yes,
Bishop,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Carries.
Authorize acceptance of payment from insurer for damage to village clubhouse to utilize toward demolition of structure. Motion?
I'll make the motion just so I can discuss it.
Motion by Ellis, support. Diana supported. And discussion.
So, I'll ask for forgiveness because I don't know enough about this. It caught me with the demolition, so the damages, and again, I apologize, I should have already looked, is the damage that substantial that has to be torn down?
The note from the insurance company said it's the value of the full building, so it'd be the equivalent of being totaled if it was a car.
Wow,
And because the sewer is so old, the cost of rebuilding the building, putting in a sewer, or extending water lines over there, or whatever it would be,
Sure.
would be such a phenomenal cost that we would never recoup it. The cement slab could be there, we can put out porta potties, so it could still facilitate that, but now there's people talking that'd be a great place for a dog park right there at the trailhead, so we don't know what we'll do with it yet.
Okay.
But at this point, we need to remove the structure because it's dangerous.
that building's been in rough shape for a long time.
It has.
and I agree with that. I'm just concerned because being at the hotel, that was so important for the snowmobilers. And that's a big part of our business in Kalkaska, and the county. So, I'm just disappointed, but I understand. Yep, okay, thank you.
I have a question,
Yes.
about it, so. The railroad square is so incredibly beautiful, the pavilion. But I imagine that the fees that we're looking at might be, I'm not familiar with what the fees were over at the clubhouse. If someone wanted to rent it for like a graduation open house or something, is there a significant difference?
I'm not sure how much.
I think it was $50.
50 or 75. Angie, what was the price to rent the clubhouse?
It was $75 for a village resident and $100 for a non-village resident.
Okay, so that's a big difference.
Is there, I understand if like we can't recoup the cost of this building, but like Mr. Ellis said, is there any discussion of creating a smaller, more remote area that could gather snowmobile activity or serve as like a more low-cost rental option for
Not any
village
discussion
residents?
we've had yet.
Is that a significant part of like our trail town plan?
There is a snowmobile club that uses it quite frequently. Other than that, in the club meeting there, I don't think that it was used terribly much. Angie, do we have many rentals for that, for private functions, just beyond the clubhouse use?
Not an extremely large amount, I wouldn't say.
A dozen in a year or less than that?
probably around, I mean, I guess maybe a few more depending on what was going on, but obviously last year was a bad example.
Yeah, true. Last year there wasn't hardly any, was there?
No.
It was not. What questions?
And I had that figure at the office. I apologize. I do not have that on hand at the moment. As far as what was a couple of years ago, the number of rentals.
I do know that when we rented it out the previous year to the snowmobilers that set up shop there to rent snowmobiles, we did figure the costs. And it costs about $1,100 just to heat the building for the winter time. And so we charged him about $1,100 just so we could recoup the cost that 1 year. But over the course of the life of that building, how many times have we not recouped that $1,100? It has just been,
That may be something that within the committees or the DDA,
that might be a great job for business development.
yeah, I think we should look at that, just because this vote obviously is, we need to tear everything down.
Right, we need to get rid of
But it doesn't mean we don't need to.
do something else to replace it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, okay,
This is
good.
more of just a safety issue, just to get it done. Do we have more discussion? No? Okay, we're getting rid of an asset, so we need a roll call on this, please.
Certainly. Ellis,
Yes,
Martha,
Yeah.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Carries.
Consider appointment of Nats Underground as underground contractor of record.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion and support. Did you catch that?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any discussion?
Not about, just about the next few items as a group. Is this a renewal or is this new?
New, and new.
And is it new to have an underground contractor or is this just a new underground contractor?
It is new to have.
And we're doing that, can I ask why we're doing that?
Under our last negotiations with the DPW, we had to put in a place where if they felt that it was dangerous and there was only one on-call person, say in the middle of winter, to go out and do a thaw or something of that nature, that we would defer them to a certain person. In order to make a recommendation of a certain company, they have to be our company of record. Otherwise, we couldn't refer them to it. And we did that in the contract negotiations, so it's coming up now. So we're making other appointments that go along with that.
So this means that if we had a big project, we would still do bids and all that. This is
We
just.
still have the same rules to follow if it's over 25,000 or something like that. What is it?
We would use Nats Underground for emergency repairs as we have historically. But for a project like an expansion of the water or sewer system, that would be bid.
Okay, great, thank you.
We had several issues that we talked about when we negotiated the contract with DPW, and there were some serious ones. And they needed something more than that one person out there in the middle of the night at 30 below zero. And it was something they couldn't do on their own anyway. And so we need to do this for all types of stuff.
Okay.
I'll add also about contractor of record in general. It's reserved for entities that have a specialized knowledge of our system. And the next one, for example, Cunningham Electric, Mr. Garrett does all of the work for us, electrical at the airport, because he understands how the pilot approach lighting system is to be set up according to MDOT aeronautical specs. I know I'm jumping ahead, but when there's information that a contractor has built over the years working for a municipality like this, there's value in being able to say, I'm going to always call you, be available 24/7 for runway light repair, for example. And that's an example.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? And we are on Nats Underground. No further questions? Let's go ahead with the roll call vote, please.
Certainly. Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
We go to L, consider appointment of Cunningham Electric as electrical contractor of record.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
I'll second.
Motion by Ellis, second by Bishop, I think he won.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Gracious.
All right, any discussion on this one? Nope, I think that was a great explanation, that'd be great. Roll call, please.
Certainly. Miller, yes. Needham,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Whale.
Yes.
Carly, if I can inject in here just real quick, I want to say a thank you in public to Bill and Cunningham Electric too. They always very generously put up our banner across the road and do that yearly and take it back down again and store it in there. I mean, they're just extremely good to us. That's why I just want to say thank you.
Even in the middle of the power.
In the middle, I do. I do.
You get the peppies.
Oh, great.
Yes,
Moving
thank
on
you.
to M, consider appointment of Infrastructure Alternatives, Inc. as certified system operator of record.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion by Ellis, support by Diana. Any discussion? Go ahead with the roll call, please.
Needham,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Miller, yes. Wales,
Yes.
carries.
And I do hereby reappoint Mickey Miller as president pro tem.
Thank you.
Do you accept, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We didn't have a vote on that last time, did we, Ann?
We did not.
Okay, I thought that was all part of it. Moving on to O. Consider approval of special event request for drag races at the airport.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis, support by Larson.
President, may I add one thing to that, please? I'd like to see the
No.
liability insurance. With the village as an additional insured.
Absolutely.
Are you surprised by that, Bill? Are you surprised by that?
Not at all. I would also like to add a comment to that, if I may. I was approached by 258 Fire, having their car show, North Kalkaska at their place, presented a huge poster with traffic logistics. We grouped together and we're gonna have the car show at the airport at the same time as the drag race, two combined events.
That's awesome.
That sounds good. It's a win-win for.
That's a great idea.
So,
Thank you.
Fair warning. Any questions? Any
Yes.
discussion?
There were drag races last year, correct? No?
Canceled last year.
well, 2 years.
Year before.
2 years ago.
But was there an event last year? At the fairgrounds, so that was different?
Yeah, it's totally different, yes.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Just a comment that I think the beautiful flyer that your, the application dates are correct, but, you have non-weekend dates here for August. I think that's, a Monday and Tuesday. No,
What are the dates?
I'm not sure, but I
My
think
calendar right here, it was mid-August,
What are the dates?
So,
21,
August,
2021.
You are absolutely 100% correct. It's the 20, 21st, and 22nd.
okay.
20th to the 22nd.
But you had it right in the
Yep, yep,
application,
yep.
so that's good.
No? That's a weekend, though.
Yep. I'm glad I didn't go.
There's plenty of time to get that reviewed.
Anything costs extra, posters or?
First one's up.
Okay.
Good catch.
Any more discussion? No. Roll call, please.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Again, we have time for brief public comment. Please state your name, place of residence, and disclose any financial relationship with the village of Kalkaska. Please direct all comments to the village president and limit comments to 3 minutes or less. Yes, sir.
Hello, Samuel Rosinski, 606 South Park Drive, Kalkaska, Michigan, 49646. I just wanted to thank the village for their involvement in the cannabis industry. We constantly feel your support and your embrace. So just from all of the business owners in the village, we do support you and thank you for all of your diligence. Everyone who I've ever worked with in this municipality has been nothing but gracious upon helping us get our businesses underfoot. I do want to echo Manager Yost's sentiment that we do need affordable housing here. We will be cresting 100 employees this year, and many of which are requiring housing. That and supporting businesses, so whatever myself or my staff can do to chair any type of subcommittee, help with any impact studies, anything that has to do with the development of the area, please reach out. And also to echo Robin Snyder's sentiment, if there is anything that we can do on behalf of the village, we are more than happy to help out. We were part of a community can drive that I know was put on by the village. We're happy to do more things like that. There's a lot of people here who are willing to give back. We're really just looking for opportunities to do so. So don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out. And as always, we thank you guys.
Thanks.
Mr. Rosinski, how many employees did you say you
We're at 84 now.
84?
Yeah.
And that happened in the last?
11 months.
Yeah,
This time last year we had 7.
You have another hiring push coming up?
Yes, actually another 20. However, COVID has impeded our ability to hire. So it has been tough to staff. It isn't an impediment right now with the amount of available housing. We have had many individuals who have struggled to find housing locally here. Many of our staff, they travel at least 30 minutes, sometimes over, some of which are even over a mile, or an hour away. So people are very convicted to working here. I know a couple other business owners are also going through hiring sprints, but the big deficiency right now is finding close, places that are close to the proximity of the workplace. That's been our primary challenge with staffing today.
Right. So you would echo my concern over housing.
And support it in whichever opportunities we could follow up on. So,
If there are specific supporting businesses that you see a need for, please let me know, because I've been trying to contact different business people and reflect that we have a need here, we want you.
absolutely. No, I will certainly reach out, and then I can follow up with Manager Yost, and then we can circulate, some type of email correspondence. Absolutely. And yeah, if there's anything else that we can do from our side, please let us know.
We're glad to have you here.
And we're happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, the Kalkaska Economic Development Corporation is working diligently with our county treasurer, Valerie Thornburg, and she's also the chair of the Brownfield as well as the land bank. And we are working together to make more affordable housing. And we have contributed $10,000 to the analyzing, and it's more like we're looking for a consultant to help us with that. And in addition, for housing, and in addition, we have also pledged $10,000 to the regional resiliency plan, which has money, right now we have $30,000 and it's climbing, to award $5,000 grants to businesses of 9 employees or less. So our DDA director, Cash, Cook, and Gaynell, the associate director, and myself are on that committee to actually interview the businesses, get them that application, help them with the application. It's something that can take place in a day. I know there's been a lot of trouble with applications too complicated, what do we do with it? So we've been meeting with businesses and getting those funds out there and distributed. So any businesses that can help, such as what you mentioned, our next meeting is May 11th, 9 a.m. at the Board of Commissioners Chambers. And we'd love to have you there, and a lot of fundraising activities and things to do for housing and for the businesses that need help.
You said there was May 11th?
May 11th, it's a Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, thank you.
I would like to say that this being our first meeting back, thank you so much to Mr. White and anyone who helped making the sound so great. I had no problem hearing Angie or Trustee Miller or any of you. So thank you.
You're welcome. And if I may, Mr. President, Mr. Manager, members of council in the audience, Damian White, 402 Division, Kalkaska, Michigan. It has been my pleasure to have spent 6 years on this council working for the citizens of this community. I continue that work outside of the council chambers at all time, and I was lucky enough to work with 42 Degrees over the previous week, in which to return all the cans that were gathered during the pandemic for the Kalkaska Skate Park Fund. Excuse me, this mask is killing me. After expenses of renting the U-Haul and getting it back and forth to Traverse City 3 times, I'm proud to announce that we raised $5,500.
Oh,
The majority of the building at Chalker Park is empty now. There is still between $400 and $600 for the glass bottles that Mr. Bishop and I will be taking back in the very, very near future. As of right now, I do believe 42 Degrees is still planning on doing the Chalker Park cleanup on April 17th. But with everybody dealing with COVID, that may move. I'm sure that there will be a Parks and Rec meeting coming up with clarification of what's going on in the very near future. That takes care of that report. Having been on this council before and bringing up the fact that we have mediation coming up that I will no longer be able to come and play with, it also reminds me that this is grant time. Is the village going after the FDTVC grant again? And if so, is there any way I can assist, as I've been there for 6 years playing with that?
I would invite you to do that. Very much like your assistance. Please.
I would be happy to do so. Please let me know when you need me.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have public comment from a DDA member, Molly Periani, who was really watching online. I would very much appreciate the special joint board meeting between the village council and the DDA scheduled before Trout Fest. She would like this brought up tonight, and maybe a call for scheduling such a meeting is in order, in that we have just held up the whole pavilion and the food court by our decisions tonight. And we have our biggest festival of the year coming up in a few days. So Angie, if you could send out a group email and get feedback on what would be a good time for a joint board meeting between village council and the DDA, that would be most helpful.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other public comment?
I'd also like to recognize the president for recognizing Troutzilla Fest as the biggest festival.
Oh, brother.
No more comment? We are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
sorry about my technical difficulties.
No problem.